Hey, what's up everybody? It's Andre with AndreReeseDotBiz. All right guys, here we are again. It's a Sunday evening. I'm out here doing a cyclecast. It's roughly Sunday evening, right about, what is it right now? Almost 7 o'clock. The sun goes down at 8, and I want to come out here and try to get a quick lap in real fast and get you guys this cyclecast-ism for sure. So let's go ahead and get right into it, and then I'll talk about our different topics. So today I'm going to talk about we just had our 3-month anniversary, or actually 3-year anniversary, and I also had my 2-year anniversary of being out here in Richmond. I want to talk to you guys about a comment I had on one of my videos that was posted on YouTube. And what else we're going to talk about? We'll also talk about people that travel to complain. That's an interesting one. We'll kind of keep it light today. And another one is, I think it's a French word. It's Fait Accompli or Fait Accompli. I'll talk about that with you guys also as well. So let's go ahead and get going here. So like I said, I'm out here today doing this quick bike ride. We'll keep today's topics kind of light and a little bit airy, and we'll still, talk about, disasters and failures and all that type of stuff. But for the most part here, what we're going to do, we're just going to keep it light today and kind of discuss these topics here real quick. So right now on Sunday evening, there's a lot of action out here on these RVA streets. There's a lot of people out and about. I'm over here by the campus. I've seen some people that look like they're graduating, so maybe they have some stuff that's tied to that. All good. But like I said, I'm gonna try to enjoy myself this evening. I'm actually on my backup bike. What is this one? This is my Diamondback, and I took and dropped my bike off again to get service, Moto Bay. So what had happened was, the last time I had rode her, I got a flat tire. And here, let me make sure I can get across the street here. All right, we're good. So last time I rode her, when me and Marilyn went and we did the Monday night ride, the next couple days later when I got on my bike to go ride, my tire was flat. So I immediately jumped onto my backup bike, and I've been riding that for like the last week and a half. And so what I decided to do was, on my bike now I have Moto Bay. The tires I have on there are tubeless ready, and I've got them set up right now running with tubes. I've had tubes on them before in the past, and so when you have tubeless ready tires, that means you could run the tires without inner tubes on the inside. And there's essentially this gel that goes on the inside of the tires, and it seats up and beads up against the rim, and that allows you to be able to pedal and ride and do your thing, and you don't have to worry about, if you get like minor little pricks in the tire, or you don't have to worry about the inner tube getting pinched that can cause a flat. So it gives you like a lot more longevity. The only issue you're gonna have if you have like a catastrophic failure where like the tire ruptures, or you have an issue where something like you run into like a spike or something, and it actually punctures your tire and it's too big to be sealed, so it's almost similar to like a run flat technology, but for bikes, so I went ahead and dropped my bike off over there to have the guy go ahead and just, instead of having the tube tires on it, pull them out and then have me go tubeless, and he's gonna take care of that. I'm supposed to get my bike back sometime next week, Tuesday or Wednesday. So looking forward to it. But yeah, so enough of that. Let's go ahead and jump into the topics for today. Let's talk about the first one. The first one is Marilyn and I had our 3-year anniversary. Man, it's like time flies. So back in May of 2023, that's when we, made a decision to move forward as a couple and made it happen. So before that, we were talking, and she found out I was single. I let her know, and she's definitely a traveler, and so some of the things I was looking at traveling and going on, she began to invite herself to, come on those things with me. So that's kind of how everything started. So once I got the okay of interest, we just started talking and, kind of checking in with each other and seeing how each other's doing, and, good morning text and all that. Because if you guys don't know, we had a long distance relationship. She was all the way in Virginia, and I was all the way over in the San Francisco Bay Area in Redwood City. So it was a 5-hour direct flight, or if you end up having to transfer, it was almost like a 10 to 12-hour journey, depending on how long your layover was, and so as we started talking more and more and more, I started realizing that she was really cool and she had all the characteristics that I was looking for. And then the thing that worked out in our favor was I had, it's not like I worked at the plant. I only had like 2 weeks of vacation a year or 3 weeks of vacation. I was fully self-employed, and I had built my business over the years. That way I can work from anywhere in the world. It didn't make a difference where I was, as long as I had internet and electricity, and when we first started talking, negotiating and dating, and realizing that maybe we should try to move forward and pursue this, I was in a great place because I was on a lease for my place, and that I was renting, and my goal was to go to Thailand or the Philippines, about 6 to 9 months away from there, and kind of look around and see which one I wanted to work at. So I was just looking at moving out to the United States altogether. So my life was already super downsized. I had like a minimal amount of stuff, and but like I said, if we were long distance dating and I only had a couple of weeks of vacation a year, and I had a job at the plant where I had no flexibility, and I was making widgets and all that, it would have been very, very difficult to try to make it happen. And sometimes I'm even amazed at some people that have relationships with people that live outside the country. I mean, how are you even to make that happen? Because I kind of pretty much before it said I was not going to ever do a long distance relationship again. It just, the logistics of it just, didn't seem viable and feasible. But, like I said, as we were talking and having kind of an interest in us and who I was and who she was, we kind of start talking about, different things like, well, how could we make it work and all that. And after a while of talking, I realized that everything she had, that's what I was looking for in a mate, in a relationship, And so it didn't catch me. I wasn't planning it. I wasn't anticipating it. It just happened, and I thought about it. I said, you know what? I can just keep going with the plan that I have and let this go, and at some point down the road, I'll probably regret this if don't make a move. And so I kind of talked to my boys, and they said, hey, we get it. You already know what to do, so why are you asking us? And so I was like, yeah, you guys are right. So after that, we started talking, and Congratulations. All right, some ladies there getting their pictures taken. So after that, we started talking and, you know, kind of going through our lives and talking about what we're looking for and, you know, all the stuff that you do when you're kind of like in the early stages of a relationship, kind of talking, negotiating, that kind of thing. And, you know, at some point, we started to get a lot more involved in each other's lives, you know, distance-wise, and it was like, hey, let's go ahead and make it a point to try to get together. And that's when we kind of started entering into the planning stage. And I said, well, you know, she offered to come out, which was great, and she had some miles that she had accumulated. And I said, you know, once you get out here, I'll take care of all the rest. And before she came, we both agreed. I was like, you know what? If you come out and you got all your fingers and toes, you got both legs, you know, you're everything that I've seen and everything that you said, I'm willing to, you know, put a tender offer on the table on May 1st, and, you know, we'll become an exclusive long-term relationship. And so she was completely down for it, just like I was. And she ended up, right after tax season, I ended up going on a cruise, and I went solo out of SoCal. And I think I was on the cruise for like 4 or 5 days. I don't remember what it was. But the day I came back home, that was the day that she flew in. So I think I came in that morning. Then the ship came in San Pedro, and then I landed in the early afternoon, got home, and then she came in late that evening on a flight. Hey, how you doing? And you know, the rest was history from there. So we hung out for 3 days. I ended up renting a houseboat at my favorite spot, and we hung out there and took her around, and we dated. So we went to Yoshi's and watched Tina Marie there. She was fantastic. Man, she can blow, I'm telling you. We went to San Francisco. We went and walked across the Golden Gate Bridge. We went to different things that were happening around town. We went to a festival that they had going on, you know, arts and wine festival type thing. So we did a lot of stuff. Walked down, rode up and down Lombard Street, rode down Lombard Street. Tons and tons and tons of stuff. Ate at some restaurants and all that. And so I took her to my favorite beach also too, you know. And so May 1st came, you know, woke her up that morning. I was like, hey, you got a second? And so she was like, she sat right up. She's like, yeah. I said, hey, you know, everything checks out. You know, I'm really happy. How you feeling? She agreed and said the same thing. She was very happy with us and, you know, with me and the things that we talked about and the direction that we wanted to go. And so from there, it was like, well, since we both like each other and, you know, are both feeling this, you know, what as they used to say back in school, you know, in high school, you want to go steady? Like, you want to be my girl? Want to be my girlfriend? I don't remember the exact words. And so she gladly said yes. And yeah, I think she was there for like another maybe 2 or 3 days. And then took her back to the airport and she flew home. And at that moment, it was like, okay, we're in a long distance relationship and you're on the other side of the country. How do we make this work? And so I had a ton of, I think I had like 250,000 airline miles. And I think I ended up booking a flight out of San Jose that went to Boston and Richmond, then came back, Richmond, Boston, San Francisco, and I think it was like 22,000 miles. So I was like, okay, this is cool. And, you know, I was like, this is pretty cool. I got at least 10 tickets before I have to pay. So I only stayed like a week. And I'll tell you, that week went by so fast when I made the first trip. And I was like, wow. And I said, you know, I really need to stay at least 2 weeks if I come out, because by the time I start thinking it's time to go home, at least I'm like about a week and a half into the journey of us hanging out. So, you know, when I flew out to hang out with her, we had a great time. And luckily, there was a blessing. There was an airline called Breeze Airways that had just started flying from San Francisco to Richmond. I think actually it left South Carolina and it went to Richmond, then it flew to San Francisco, and then it made a U-turn and flew back to Richmond, and then it went back to South Carolina, I think is what it was, the route that the plane flew. And it flew like 3 days a week. I think it's down to flying just like 2 days a week now. But at the time, it was a new airline. I was able to fly like round trip direct, where it was like a 5-hour flight, and it was usually like about $300. So it was a hell of a blessing. And I could pay another $100 each direction if I wanted to, and I can upgrade to their version of first class. So, and that's what I did. And I would fly out, spend 2 weeks, and it got to the point where sometimes I'd spend 3 weeks, and sometimes I'd be on the plane flying back home, and I'd be like, why am I going home? There's nothing I need to do back in the Bay Area. And so I would just hang out, and you know, so that's when my trip started getting longer and longer. And I think the longest I spent was close to 4 weeks, I think it was, you know, almost 3.5. It was somewhere around the holidays is what it was. But yeah, so then after we got to the halfway mark, about 6 months in our relationship, you know, we had already talked about this in advance. They're like, you know, hey, if, you know, if we last 6 months and everything is cool, then, you know, we'll plan on working it out so that we can, you know, move together. And the obvious choice was me to move. I was already had 1 foot out the door. And so 6 months came, we had a nice conversation, and at that point, it's like, well, okay, I'll go ahead and come out your way after tax season's over, and that's what we ended up doing. And so my goal was, you know, after the kind of the back and forth, and us talking, and you know, talking more about, you know, getting married and all that, I had discussed with her, you know, about getting a ring and all that. So we made an appointment with a spot in New York, and she came there, picked out exactly what she wanted, and had it designed. And then the only thing I had to do after that was move and relocate. And so I had planned a cruise to propose to her on it, but she had called me early and said, hey, I got a trip to Paris if you want to go. And so I ended up moving earlier, like a week earlier than I had planned on. And you know, make a long story short, went to Paris, came back for a few days, and at that time my stuff was being shipped in containers, and met my stuff when I got back and unpacked. And you know, most of the stuff I moved was just business stuff anyway. On your left. Yeah, most of the stuff I moved was business stuff, so it all went to storage. I only had like a small amount of stuff that I actually had bought, because I had brought stuff with me along the way when I was making trips, because I had free bags on Breeze, and sometimes I would ship stuff to myself, like I drop shipped this bike, that type of stuff. And so by the time I got here, I already had everything I needed, and it was all good, you know. And so we went on the cruise, and ended up proposing to her And I think what I'm gonna do is, I don't think I've ever really shown you guys, but our wedding anniversary is coming up on July 27th. And I'll give you guys a whole rundown on how I did the engagement, and I'll even show you guys the video. It's quite the story on how that all happened. But fast forward a little bit, I ended up moving, relocating, and then I moved here, I think on, it was, and this is the 2-year anniversary that I'm celebrating also too. I moved and relocated on April 24th to Richmond. So Marilyn met me at the airport along with my dear sister friend, and they had a welcoming committee and a sign. It was wonderful. And like I said, we went ahead and got engaged on the cruise, on the excursion that we were on. And we had about another year and 2 months or so to kind of plan the wedding. And in that 2 months, or that year and 2 months, we essentially just did a lot of traveling. And I went to 2 or 3 family reunions, and she came with me. I went to Ghana, got to meet her family there. You know, met family and friends. Friends came and flew in. So I think during that time, it was probably somewhere close to 700 or 800 friends and family members that we all got to meet. And it was pretty cool, and had a fantastic time, you know, doing all that. So like I said, we finally eventually got married, and here we are, you know, and we're coming up, like I said, on our 1-year wedding anniversary, and we've been having a blast, you know. So we did end up celebrating our anniversary of getting together, and we ended up going to a local, actually there was an event that they had in town. One of the hottest and most epic podcast there is right now is Today's Conversation. So these cats, brothers and sisters, they all started out as a card game. Now they travel and they have people from the audience. They talk about, you know, different questions and stuff. So I'll definitely do a separate thing about that for sure. But we had a great time at the event. It was cool, it was wonderful. And here we are. So, you know, so that's it. That's so for, like I said, 3 years. Brother is happy as can be. I think you guys can tell we're having a great time together. And it's so wonderful to just do whatever we want to do, whenever we want to do it. And if we're ever separated, where Marilyn has to travel for work and I can't go, or I need to travel and she can't come, we immediately fall back into long distance relationship mode. And so, it's pretty seamless. So all good there. So let me jump in real quick to kind of talked about it a little bit. But here, hang on a second. A ton of people coming. Hang on one second. All right, we're good. A lot of people going across the bridge today. So let me let these guys know here. On your left. All right. A ton of folks, which is great. Glad people are getting out, enjoying themselves. So yeah, so, you know, like I said, I've been officially relocated out here in RVA now for 2 years as of April 24th. So just a couple days ago, I celebrated my 2-year anniversary. On your left. And like I said, I'm having on your left. Like I said, I'm having a fantastic time out here in RVA. And I know a lot of people right now, you know, want to leave where they live you know, for different reasons, you know, whatever they might be. But I'm glad I made the decision to go and to bounce and to move out here. I love everything about being out here in Richmond. You know, I love that I'm able to get this diversity in riding. I love the snow and the thunder, lightning, you know, the fall, you know, riding through this whole area here when the leaves are falling. And then there's a lot of, you know, and so the thing is, in California, even in the Bay Area, there's only pockets of concentration of black folks. And with that, you're gonna get, you know, food and cultural events and that type of stuff. But a lot of times you have to, in order to be able to afford a decent house, a lot of times you gotta live way outside the area. And it gets to be a little bit isolating and trying to get back to the spot. But the one thing that's fantastic is and I've talked about this before, the makeup of folks out here is 45% black and white, respectively, and then 10% everybody else. And there's so much stuff to do out here culturally if you're looking for, you know, ethnic-based events. You know, there's so many different restaurants. You know, we belong to we support a cultural nonprofit out here, and they every week, how you doing? Every last Thursday of every month, they end up going to a different style restaurant, you know, different ethnic restaurant. Like last week, we went to it was a Greek restaurant, and we've gone to Bosnian food, and you know, all the normals like Thai and, you know, authentic Chinese and just all kinds of stuff. And so it's nice to have, you know, everybody out here represented. So I really appreciate it. I really like it a lot. Watch out. And, you know, it's really, really cool. And so the thing is, I've been out here for 2 years, and I am a scrub, really am. I talked about this before in other videos. I had a car pretty much all my life from at least 18. And I don't think there's ever been a time where I never had a vehicle. And on your left. And I had a Toyota Prius up until the day before I left California. I took my car and drove it to CarMax and dropped it off and got a check. And you know, when Marilyn and I were talking, I was like, I should ship my car, I should bring it. She's like, we really don't need it. I was like, this is the first time I've ever not had a car. She's like, all the times that you've been here for like the last year plus, how many times have you needed your own car? I was like, you got me. So when I got here, I never ended up buying a car. We don't drive a lot anyway. There's maybe only 1 or 2 days a week worth of stuff that I have to leave for. And usually one of those days, I'm solo dolo. Then the other day, I'm usually with her, you know. And so Marilyn works from home also too. And she has very few things that she does, you know, maybe 1 day a week where she's solo dolo. So, and it just works. And I never thought I would ever be at a point in my life where I didn't have an automobile. And here we are. So I just had my 2-year anniversary, and I have no thought on buying a car. So with the DJ business I'm gonna get up and running this year, if I have a need for transportation, what I'm gonna do is, there's I don't forget what it's called, Car Guru or something, where you can rent other people's vehicles. There's a number of people on there that have trucks and vans that are fairly inexpensive, you know, cost per day. They'll come and drop them off at your house and come pick it up. And so I'll do something like that and then just build the price into I'll build the price into the total price, the total cost. And so, you know, all good, no worries. And, you know, I'm having a fantastic time, a great time out here. And here, let me check one thing real quick. Make sure I'm not getting a flat tire. Nope, it's good. All right. And I'm enjoying myself, having a great time. And, you know, looking forward to continuing to go on. And I think the greatest thing is I'm not familiar with the East Coast at all. We're mid-Atlantic, so we get a combination of the heat, we get a combination of the cold, but not too much because we're kind of between, almost really identically between both areas of the country, whether it's the extreme north where it gets really cold or the, you know, Florida where hot and humid. And so it's a nice little balance, and our brother's really, really happy. So yeah, that's it. Looking forward to continuing on and continuing to explore. And it's just so hyped to be able to come out here and ride my bike in this beautiful area every day on this trail and by the river. So, you know, my brother's gonna keep on going and doing it as long as I can keep on doing it. So let's jump into the next topic. So the third topic we'll talk about today is somebody left a comment on one of my videos. So I don't get very many comments at all. I get quite a few views, you know, that come up, and you know, I've got people when they call in to try to become new clients, you know, they reference my stuff. And so, and I also have clients currently right now, when I talk to them, they're like, oh man, I saw your stuff and keep up the good work and, you know, blah, 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 all that whole thing. And so, it's very rare for me to get feedback, but I get volumes of folks watching my stuff. And like I said, I'm not in the game to try to get likes, to try to get, you know, anything out of it. I'm only in it just to get more clients. And then my goal right now is to get to the point where I'm able to get monetized on my content. So I'm making some changes right now that I've already implemented that's increasing the volume of folks that I have watching my stuff. So on your left, man. And so like I said, and like I said, most of the stuff I do is failure analysis based. And to kind of describe that term again, you know, if a plane crashes, you know, the National Traffic Safety Board will come in and scoop up all the pieces and reconstruct, and then they'll turn around and figure out what screw or what weld is what caused the plane to go down. And then they try to, you know, learn from it and then implement immediate changes to prevent it from happening again. That's why crashes are so rare in the airline industry, because it's self-healing. And engineering, they use the root cause method, where if there's a bug or there's an issue, they try to not pinpoint the stuff that's happening on the surface, but they try to pinpoint exactly what's going on inside of the system, and they fix that. That way, the bug is fixed forever. So that's kind of what I do here. So in my format of talking and discussing, what I'm doing is, a lot of the topics are controversial, a lot of them are political. It's very easy to express an opinion like everybody else does. But what I do is I essentially, my method is pretty straightforward. I talk about the issue and, what's up, my man? I talk about the issue and say what's going on. and I talk about both sides, and I kind of just walk directly down the middle. And then the end, I usually provide, I provide very little opinion. Sometimes I do, most of the times I don't. But a lot of times I'll talk about, what we can do to, what you can learn from these things to improve your life personally or your business. And it can be anything like Clay Thomas, where we're talking about relationships. It could be something like the Supreme Court, where we're talking about how we got here. And it could even be something about a business issue, like, I haven't done it, but, something about Enron and how it affected people financially, or I'll talk about, Trump's big, beautiful bill, or, a law now, I guess, whatever it might be. And so that's kind of the approach that I take. And so I'm not here to take a side. I'm not here to be political in any kind of way. So the person that left the compliment, I consider it a compliment. I think they were trying to be a little facetious, but they pretty much said that I don't, that I essentially have an angel on one shoulder and a devil on the other shoulder. And I basically keep going back and forth between the two, and I can't make a decision and I can't decide. Good. So, please not. And then they said that, in these things I talk about, that there is a bad side, and I need to choose the bad side, or speak out against it and all that. And, like I said, that's not what I'm here for. And so the person, they said essentially what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to walk down the middle and leave my opinion out of it until it may be time to do that. Oh shoot, hang on. Oh man, make it up this here. Okay, all right, we're here. All right, try to leave my opinion out of it, and then talk about how we could learn from this thing, this issue or problem, and how it can have, by making adjustments and changes, how it can have a positive impact. Whew, here, hang on. I think I wrote up it too fast. How it can have a positive impact on your life or on your business. And so just wanted to bring that up for clarity and clarification. And I think when I responded back, no matter what people say, I'm not trying to start no mess. I'm not trying to flame nobody, get into a flame throwing war. I essentially just said, hey, thanks for the comment. I said, thanks for the comment. I'm not here to really choose sides, and that's not what this video is about. And thanked him and said, be sure to continue watching my content. And so that's all you can really do. And so, in this world, you can't please everybody. And I remember having a conversation with my daughter not too long ago, maybe a year ago. We were talking about something. And I'm not here to blow smoke up anybody's behinds. Even when my clients call me, they got a problem, they got an issue, they need a solution. I'm not trying to, I'm gonna be kind and empathetic, but the reason why people pay me is because they need their problem fixed. And sometimes they're at fault, sometimes others are at fault, but by identifying what went wrong and trying to fix it at the root cause level, in the end, things will be fine. So, all good. So that's all I got to really say about that. So I just wanted to bring that up and just remind everybody why I do these videos. It's not to, there's enough people online right now that are expressing their opinions and being very divisive. I'm not trying to do that at all, you know. And I think sometimes people also get mad and angry and upset because I'm not definitive about where I stand about anything, you know. And I think people want to find comfort and safety in others that feel the same. But when you have somebody that bucks that trend, you don't necessarily know what to do, you know. And you know, and so that's it. It is what it is. So all good. So let's jump on to the next topic here. What it is, actually, let me pull over here real quick. So the topic is, it's a French word called, I forget how, I should ask Marilyn how to pronounce it, but I think it's F-A-I-T, Fait Accompli. And it's a French phrase that means, it means accomplished. It's an accomplished fact, and it's referring to a decision or an action completed before those affected can query, reverse, or influence it. And so if you ever look at my hashtags on my post, some of the social media outlets now, they reduce how many hashtags you can put. But if I'm ever able to post on something that has the ability for me to have 30 hashtags, one of the hashtags I have on there is Fait Accompli. And so like I said, forgive me if I'm pronouncing it wrong. I got a black accent, you know. And this, I forgot where I first became aware of it, but of it existing. It might have came out of a movie. And I think I looked it up and I was like, oh wait, let me check this out. And so I also have other hashtags like, I've got like game theory, you know. So if you take a look, you'll see the different hashtags that I have, and they all are meaningful. I think there's also, I got Kobayashi Maru, you know, that comes from Star Trek, which is like an unwinnable situation. You know, there's no way that you can win it. It's already done. So Fait Accompli kind of, for me, it falls under that, you know, that thing you have to always be aware of. And what is a Fait Accompli situation? So a good example is, let's say, like on a simple side, let's say you're a little kid and there's like you got like a blow up dinosaur that's in the garage that your parents put in front of the house for Christmas, and they've already taken it down and it's April Fool's, and you go in the bathroom and you blow it up in your sister's bathroom. And so when she wakes up, she walks in, you know, she'll see it and then she'll be surprised. But you're old enough to know that you should have asked your parents first. And so you end up, after you did it, you go and ask your dad or your mom and say, hey, can I take the blow up dinosaur and put it in the bathroom so when my sister wakes up, she goes in there, she'll be scared, maybe a little bit, but I'll jump out from underneath the cabinet and say, April Fools. And then they're like, no, you can't do that. Not at all. But at that point, you've already done it. And so it's irreversible. It's up to them to realize that it's already been done. And another example is you can be working at a company and they've decided in an HR huddle and senior management that they no longer want you at that company. And so as far as you're concerned, everything's cool. You know, you go to work every day, everybody's happy to see you, and you bring donuts every Friday, you know, kind of a thing. And, you know, you eat with people on lunchtime and go to all the company events and drink with everybody after work. But they've decided they're gonna get rid of you. And so, hang on a second here. Okay, so they decide they're gonna get rid of you. And so they put a meeting on the calendar and, you know, for the Friday coming up, and everybody inside the company knows but you. But everybody's really good at hiding the deception. So they're being kind and friendly and inviting you to hang out and go eat lunch. But on Friday at 4:30, they call you into the conference room as you knew. And then you're thinking, you know, I'm gonna get a promotion or a raise because I did a great project. And then, hang on a second. I'm gonna get a raise or promotion because of how well I did on a project. And then, as soon as you walk in the room, you're sitting down, you're happy, they're joking with you, and you guys are jibber-jabbing for like 5 minutes, talking about football, blah, 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 blah. Then they say, okay, well, let's get down to business. I just want to let you know that your position has been eliminated, and you got 2 weeks worth of severance. We're not going to contest your unemployment. And at that point, you are shocked. You had no idea what was happening, and this is a complete surprise to you. And so you try to negotiate and try to say, well, what happened, what went wrong, and they don't give you anything that's solid. And all they're basically saying to you is, hey, we just decided to go a different direction. And there's nothing you can do at that point but accept the fact that what has already happened, what's already been said, what's already been written is what's already done. And so the sooner you sign the paperwork and take your check and leave, you can begin the healing process. But like I said, you might even think about it over the weekend and think of a whole bunch of rebuttals. You want to call them on Monday and talk to them, and they agree to talk to you on Wednesday. And you're working on your bullet points to talk about, and you have some hope, and you get back on the phone with them, and they're like, sorry, nothing you can say will change the fact that your position is gone. And so at that point, it's up to you to finally accept it because the decision has already been made. And so fait accompli can happen. Let me make sure I can get across this, okay. Fait accompli can happen at any time. And it's up to us to be able to see the signs on the wall. And I think if you go back and you kind of play back the scenario, you may notice slight differences and slight changes in behavior and patterns and everything else. Very few things happen in a vacuum where there's no clues. And so as long as you are living in bliss, like ignorance is bliss, you're not going to pick up on the subtle clues and the changes that are happening in the environment. And so I meant to say this when I did the whole breakdown about the 6-3, conservative versus liberal split in the Supreme Court. And this is something that's been happening and going on now for 40 years. And I watched recently, I think 2 days ago, Kamala was talking about how we have to become ruthless at this point, the Democrats, the blue team, and win this back. And she talked about how this has been going on for a long time, as far as the movement that's happened with the Supreme Court. And they chalked it up as being a fever dream, and so you know what a fever dream is. It's some crazy, bizarre thing that happens because you're sick. And you could have some of the wildest and most vivid dreams when you got a fever. And so they assumed that what the blue team, or actually what the red team was saying and doing was not true. And like I said, they dropped the ball and she admitted to it. And you know, they said that they have to become ruthless now and try to work and get things back. And so, like I said, in the video, I talked about the long road that we got to now where the Supreme Court has the makeup that it does, and it's something that's been going on for a long time. And so everybody else has known that this was going to be what it was. And so if you've paid attention and you haven't siloed yourself in the box and only saw what you wanted to see and ignored the obvious clues, you know, when something like this happens and when the fall of the women's rights issue, DEI and all the other stuff that got eliminated, for those that have been aware of what's been happening, it's not a surprise. And so I think folks at this point now have to expand their horizons, and if they get caught up in a Fait Accompli situation, you know, there's very few instances where you're just riding along on your bike and you get hit by a 747 aircraft engine. You know, something like that is very, very rare. Most disasters have a lead-up time, and in this case, you know, the lead-up time is almost 40 years. And so everybody else has already known that this was going to happen, and it was already in motion and already in play. And so the thing is, you don't want to be angry and upset because something happened that you didn't expect to happen. And I think the worst thing, if you look at it this way, if you're in a relationship and you're getting cheated on, man or a woman, very few times is it ever a surprise. When you finally catch the person in the room or there's some hard evidence, you know, there's always been signs before that. And so you can't turn another cheek, you can't let it go, you can't run and hide. You have to take a look at those things. And I tell people all the time, when you're a business owner, you're first starting out, you know, you're gonna have a goal and a plan to do things that you want to do, to try to make the money, try to build your business. Most of the time, it's not gonna happen that way. And there's gonna be small things along the way that are gonna happen. And you have to be able to notice those things because they're very, very subtle. And those are the clues that let you know that it's time for you to pivot, or there's an opportunity that you never expected. You know, so in this situation here, you know, adopt this word, take heed to it, integrate it into your life, and be aware. That way, you're not caught, so to speak, with your pants down, and you don't know what to do at that point but to panic. So just adjust yourself, adjust the things around you, play back all the things that happen, you know, go back and do some research and find out what you missed and adjust your sources. And the next time you should be in a better position to, you know, ride things out. So that's it for that one there. Nothing else to say. And I think the last thing I want to talk about, I don't have much time here, so we're going to talk about people that travel to complain. And so I'll tell you, on the internet, outer net, wider net, whatever you want to call it, there are so many people that get online and they complain. And I went on a cruise not too long ago where the guy on the cruise ship, he was a comedian. He said, you know what? There are people that come on this cruise ship that travel 2,000 miles to get on the ship just so they can complain someplace new. And it's so true. And so you have to get yourself out of the culture of complaining. And folks that I know that complain, that's all they do. They're professionals, they're good at it. They are not moving forward in their lives. They're very stagnant. And at some point, because they complain so much and they're not capable of, solving problems and stuff like that, it's just a matter of time before something happens that they didn't expect. And, those kind of things that they have worried about and have fear about can come and crush and cripple them. So my whole thing here is change your mindset, and life really isn't that bad. And if it is that bad, you have to change yourself. And I think one of the things I say in all of my videos and things I post is, find joy in life and your life will be epic. Another thing I say is, don't get caught up in other people's doom loops. And so it's easy to doom loop and get caught up with somebody, have things become a self-fulfilling prophecy, and in the end, you don't advance, you don't move forward. And that's really the last place that you want to be in life. So, like I said, stay away from being that person that is constantly complaining. And if you find yourself traveling and you're complaining about everything at the hotel, the food, you complain about, the restaurant that you picked, it's probably you. You have to come up with a better protocol and find out what makes you happy. That way, in the end, you can find happiness, you can find joy, and you can find peace in life. So that's it, guys. I don't got anything else to talk about today. Talked about 5 topics. Hope you guys got some benefit from this. Like I said, find your version of joy and your life will be epic. So I'll talk to you guys soon. And I think I'm gonna be out here tomorrow. I'm not sure if I'm gonna do a ride in the morning or if I'm gonna go ride with the group at night, because it's Monday night bike bros. So we'll see, I'll make a decision. All right, guys, appreciate you very much and hope you guys enjoyed the video. Peace. In my life. Oh, shit. Okay, my brother fell. This is black ice. Okay. All right, I'm okay. All systems check. All right, I'm good. So let me just penguin it.